It's Backstage Pass with Steve Ryan. And here's your host, Steve Ryan.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Well, thanks for giving me some time, Jaret. I'm really been looking forward to speaking with you. I know we got a limited amount of time, and I got so much I want to go over with you.
Awesome.
This podcast is about songs, so I want to talk to you about a lot of songs. We'll never get through them all because you've got such an extensive catalog. But before we kick that off, tell me about the tour and what's happening this summer. I know you're out with Simple Plan.
Yeah, we're out with Simple Plan again. So we did this last year. They're bigger than you think tour with us, and last year it was Bowling for Soup, 303, and Lolo. This year we're doing it again, but we're doing some different markets, and it's just Simple Plan, Bowling for Soup, and 303. And man, it's pretty much selling out everywhere. And couldn't be more happy for those guys, and couldn't be more happy to be part of it.
I just was watching this morning before we got together the video for your guys' cover of their song "I'm Just a Kid."
Yeah. We're doing a whole series of covers of our friends' songs, and that one seemed like it seemed like the one that we just had to do.
I woke up, it was 7. I waited till 11 just to figure out that no one would call. I think I've got a lot of friends, but I don't hear from them. What's another night all alone? When you're spending every day on your own. And here it goes. I'm just a kid and all life is a nightmare. I'm just a kid, I know that it's not fair. Nobody cares cause I'm alone and the world is having more fun than me tonight.
Because we've known those guys since they were actually kids, and we weren't far off. We first took them out in 2003. We took them out in 2002, I think, actually. Took them for a tour around Texas, and then took them over to the UK in 2003.
Yeah.
And had it been, we've been friends ever since, and touring together, and playing Warp tours, and it's been good. It's been cool to watch both bands' trajectories, and those guys have worked really, really hard. They definitely deserve where they're at right now.
You guys never, speaking of covers, you guys have never really shied away from doing covers. You've always done covers.
Always done covers. It was a big part of our thing, even in the club days. Back in the late '90s, we we actually lived two separate lives. We were a cover band that played across town in Dallas and Fort Worth and in various other markets and stuff, and we could do 4-hour shows. And a lot of that was doing cover songs, but our thing was back then to do covers that sounded like our band. So we would take an Elvis song and make it what today would be considered pop punk. And so also, so that became a big part of our whole thing, our niche. But also what came out of those days was the comedy. Because we were doing these really long shows, we didn't always have enough songs to be able to do it. And so, you're doing 4 45-minute sets, so almost 4 hours of music. And so we, the comedy and the talking and the just the hijinks between songs became such a big part of the show. And honestly, it was just a waste time.
Yeah.
And now it's a big part of our show because that's just who we are as a band.
You guys have never taken yourself too seriously, huh? I mean,
You know-
your music is serious music, but you know what I mean? You're a fun band that's not, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say political, but you know what I mean? I mean, you just don't get into those weeds. When people come to your shows, it's kind of like your videos. I mean, it's just fun.
Yeah, then that's the whole point. And I think everybody, any band that's been around 32 years, you probably go through what every band does, and that is, you make a decision as to your direction. And a lot of our peers, you know, say Sum 41 and Blink 182 and obviously Green Day, started out as sort of fun bands and then got into more serious stuff, especially in their lyrics and things.
Yeah.
Um, and they made great music, and that's who they are as bands. But as we looked at who we were like, man, like that's just not who we are as people. It's not who we are, as a band. Our band, I think, is like that band that you put on a Friday afternoon after a long week, and it's just it's sort of a departure from all that.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think on the surface we don't take things too seriously. Again, our show is very, very loose. We go up there and we're entertaining ourselves as much as we are the audience. But there's thoughtfulness that goes into all that, and we obviously care about the product that we're putting out and stuff like that. But definitely not from the aspect of if one of us messes up, it's part of the show.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're going to get in trouble for.
Right. Not too tight.
Not too.
Well, I
tight,
think that's what people love about live shows.
Yeah.
When you guys put your set list together, I mean, do you guys pretty much stick to the same set list? Are you so loose that you just kind of call it out, or maybe a little of both?
So we don't use a set list unless we have pyro. So if you see us and there's no fire, the list of songs in front of us isn't actually a set list. It just says songs Bowling for Soup might play tonight. And honestly, it's just reference.
Yeah.
It's like reference to, and there's a lot more songs on there than what we can play in a night. And that's just it. We've never been, honestly, we started out as a band that, nobody would make the set list, so we just didn't use one.
Yeah.
And then it became part of our show. It's like, hey, I don't really know what I want to play fourth until I get there. What's the audience like? Are they ready for Ohio come back to Texas?
She said she needed a break, a little time to think. But then she went to Cleveland with some guy named Leland that she met at the bank. There's nothing wrong with Ohio, except the snow and the rain. I really like Drew Carey, and I'd love to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So when you're done doing whatever, and when you're through doing whoever, Denton County will be right here waiting for you. Come back to Texas. It's just not the same since you went away. Before you lose your accent and forget all about the Lone Star State, there's a seat for you at the rodeo.
Is it more of like a, hey, we should play Emily right now, and then like really hit him over the head with that one?
She was always such a pretty girl, nobody like her in the world. A little piece of heavenly that no one else can stand. See you in my dreams at night, see you when I close my eyes. I just can't seem to shake
And when to play Turbulence, and Phineas and Ferb is a big one. It's like when are they ready for that one? And so it's very, very spontaneous. There's a lot of ad lib that goes into it. We try never to play the same show twice. And honestly, when we're walking onto stage, many times the guys are like, "Hey, what are we starting with?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna do Almost Into High School Never Ends, or we're gonna do the Bitch Song, or whatever." And the show unfolds from there.
I love that, especially for people who might go and see you more than once in the same tour.
100%. And you find fans that do that. We have fans that come to see us, on a 15-day tour, and they'll come to every show, and they do the VIPs and all of that, that is honestly a big reason why I don't like to recycle things. Like there are certain jokes that are bits that are part of the show that you will hear from show to show, or every other show or whatever. There's obviously things that work that I can put in there when it's time, but as far as the overall sense of what's happening on stage and all of that, I really try to keep it so fresh that if you came to see us 3 nights in a row, 4 nights in a row, 7 nights in a row, you would never see the same thing.
Yeah, I love that. You know, there was a time when it sounded like maybe you guys weren't going to tour anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Only it happened to us about 2013. A lot of things were going on. I was getting a divorce. Eric was getting a divorce at the time. It sort of seemed like maybe, in a sense, that the press kind of had enough of us, and I wouldn't say there was a decline in sales, but it had kind of peaked for us at the time. And so yeah, we had a really big meeting, and it was sort of like, hey, I don't want to run this into the ground, and so we took a nice break, almost a year, and but when we came back, we were shot out of a cannon, and it ended up being the best thing we ever did for the band. And I mean, we were clicking on all cylinders. Everybody was happy to be there. Crew guys were really killing it. It was just it ended up being a real blessing. We caught a little bit of shit from the UK audience for doing a farewell tour, but we tried to make it, while we were doing that, we kept saying it's not goodbye, it's farewell. Like we at that time we were going over there, we were going to the UK 2 to 3 times a year, and it was just really taking its toll on everybody's life. Because again, at the time we were going through a lot of stuff personally, and as a band as well. And so yeah, again, it's one of those things where I really did consider breaking the band up. And, as I look back, obviously I'm very glad I didn't, because, we're at a point now where we're selling more tickets than we ever have. We have a new album in the can. We're signing with a label for the first time since 2009. We're, and just we're very happy to be out there. And so, it ended up being a real blessing for us to step back from it and then come back. And I'm really, really thankful that we were smart enough to do that when it was time, because I think a lot of bands just go and go and go, and then there's a time where you just implode. And I think the one thing that we've always had though together is and I know we've had a few member changes lately, with Chris retiring and Rob joining the band in 2017, and but the one thing that we've always had is friendship, and a closeness within our ranks that supersedes anything else. And that's I think that's a testament to the success of the band.
Yeah. Well, you guys have been together longer than a lot of marriages.
Right. Yes, exactly. And that's not lost on me. I'm on my third marriage. It's I lost one wife to the band. That's when I was going through that divorce. My schedule and what I was doing, and just touring and life and the things that rock and roll brought with it.
Yeah.
We're a big part of that relationship not working, but I got 2 beautiful kids out of it, and she and I are great. And so, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. Speaking of covers, on that first, on the Let's Do It for Johnny LP, you guys did a cover of Summer of '69, Bryan Adams' song, a lot faster than his version.
Got my first real 6-string, bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till my fingers bled. Was the summer of '69. Me and some guys from school had a band and we tried real hard. Jimmy quit till we got married. Should've known we'd never get far. But when I look back now, the summer seemed to last forever. And if I had
You know what's funny about that? The story that I will tell is that we knew we wanted to put a cover on the record because again, cover we could pull a cover out every show that you came to, and you would you'd never hear the same one. And so it's a big part of, as I didn't actually finish what I was saying earlier. We were a cover band across town, but then in the clubs where local bands played, we weren't a cover band. We were going out there and doing original sets, but we would do a wacky cover every show, and we had this arsenal of 80 songs that we could pick from, and we could do everything from Elvis to to the Beatles to the Beach Boys to Bryan Adams. I mean, everything. We could do it all. Bon Jovi. And that leads us to the story, that the two songs that I had up for that record were Summer '69 and You Gave Love a Bad Name. But when I sing hair metal, I do it I basically impersonate the person that I'm singing, because that's what I grew up on. And they thought I sounded too much like Bon Jovi. It just sounds like Bon Jovi.
Yeah.
And so Summer of '69 won out. And that ended up being a real blessing to us, because that when the record came out, there was a DJ at the BBC over in the UK that heard it. And you getting played on Radio 1 over there is like the equivalent to,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know.
There's nothing in the US like that.
No, we don't have that. So imagine, there only being 4 radio stations in the country, and the biggest one that everybody listens to, you get played on it. Like one play is insane over there, right?
Yeah.
And so Summer '69 got played multiple times over there by a certain DJ, and that it really garnished a lot of attention, and really, the success of Let's Do It for Johnny and the Bitch Song and Summer '69 over in the UK really is the only reason we got to make a second record, because the label was over here, and quite frankly, that album was not a success over here, and touring wasn't adding up to what it needed to be over here, and we were sort of lost a little bit, and but the UK grabbed hold of it, and we got to do a second record, and Girl the Bad Guys came out, and rest is history.
Bad movie, she's looking through me. If you were me, then you'd be screaming, someone shoot me, as I fell miserably trying to get the girl all the bad guys want. 'Cause she's the girl all the bad guys want. She likes the Godsmack and I like Agent Orange. Her CD changer's full of singers that are mad at their dad. She said she'd like to score some rookie ran a 40. She'll never know that I'm the best that she'll never have. And when she walks, all the wind blows and the angels sing. She'll never notice me. She's watching wrestling, creaming over.
When I read, tell me if this is right, that you started playing music somewhere around 13-ish.
Yeah.
Who were your influences when you were kind of figuring yourself out, and what you were getting into, what you liked and didn't like? Because at that age, you're kind of forming your opinions, right?
Yeah.
Who were your musical influences when you decided, I music is what I'm into?
Yeah, I was really lucky that my parents were listened to a lot of music. There was always music playing in the house and in the car, and so my palette was pretty vast in that, I grew up listening to Waylon and Willie. I have a Waylon and Willie tattoo. Neil Diamond. I loved the storytellers, Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton,
Yeah.
Donna Summer, all of that stuff. It wasn't till I heard Ozzy Osbourne, when I was 13, and then I saw Motley Crue on TV,
Yeah.
and I was just like, well, this is it. This is what I want to do, and so I wanted to be Tommy Lee, so I got a drum set and I started playing drums, and I was a drummer in all my bands as a kid. And but yeah, I took from so much of that, and then when I started writing songs, it was obvious that the storytellers that my parents had played for me so much as a kid were really what influenced me.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles and bands like that with the harmonies and stuff. And so, here I was, when I started the band before Bowling for Soup, yeah, all of my songs were stories, and we're doing all these like 3-part harmonies and stuff. And so I'm indebted to my parents for unknowingly playing all of those songs and for me so
Yeah.
much as a kid. And then, you know, man, once I heard Motley Crue and Rat and Dokken and stuff like that, I mean, I was just lost in it, and
Yeah.
then I got it got heavier and heavier and heavier, through life, and we really we became more of like a death metal thing, the band that I was in, and then I started singing, and then I discovered punk rock by hearing the Descendants and early Green Day and the Ramones, and I at that point, I was a young adult, and I was like, no, this is what I want to do, and it changed the direction.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of your songs, if you listen lyrically, they are a story. I mean, 1985 is a story.
Yeah, 1985, Girl, the Bad Guys Want, even they're all almost, all the hits, Ohio, they're all stories. And that's really, I always loved the imagery. I felt like songs were like books to me. Like I loved how I could picture it. And even as a young kid, I was aware that, hey, it's funny because I can picture this, but I bet everybody else pictures their own thing.
Yeah.
They picture something completely different, and that's again, it's what reading does, and I think that's what music does. It's funny, we all just hear a different thing. I'm really fascinated by what people hear when they hear music. I have a lot of friends that are in bands that like they say they don't hear lyrics, and I'm like, God, how can you not hear lyrics? That's all I hear.
Debbie just hit the wall, she never had it all. One Prozac a day, husband's a CPA. Her dreams went out the door, she turned 24. Only been with one man, what happened to her plan? She was gonna be an actress, she was gonna be a star. She was gonna shake her ass on the hood of White Snake's car. But yellow SUV is now the enemy. Looks at her average life, nothing has been alright since Bruce Springsteen, Madonna. Way before Nirvana, there was U2, Blondie. Music still on MTV. Her 2 kids in high school, they tell her that she's uncool. She's still preoccupied with 1985.
And I think it's so cool that we all get different things out of music, but the one thing that we all get is you can listen to a song that you listen to a lot back in high school. For me, the big one is Faith No More. If
Hmm.
I put the Real Thing album on, I can smell it, taste it, see it, feel it. It's just I'm in high school. I'm
Yeah.
in my truck driving over to my friend Scott's girlfriend's house to go in the pool. And it's music is so magical that way.
Have you ever, assume you've heard Faith No More, We Care a Lot?
Oh, of course, yeah, 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 totally. But before Mike got in the band, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Man, I love that song. I used to do a radio show, and Friday night it was a party show. I played party music, for my whole block. I was a night DJ. I opened and closed the show with that song.
no, oh, I know, I love it. Yeah, I mean, again, sort of, they had already had they had the feel of it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's interesting how that whole thing went down when Mike joined the band, and they had I'm sure you know the story, but they had that album written, but he just wrote top line over the whole thing, and
Yeah.
so all that music and stuff was done, and like how he came up with some of those hooks to go along with that, to me is just crazy, because that's a near perfect album.
Yeah.
Angel Dust is my favorite, by the way, by them. But
Great album.
yeah,
Yeah.
I am I love Angel Dust so much. Which brings us back to Let's Do It for Johnny. Matt Wallace mixed that record, and that is he mixed the bitch song.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Hey, we were talking about 1985 a minute ago. I looked
yeah,
last night. Do you know that has 86 million views?
yeah,
Is
yeah. It's
that
pretty crazy.
insane?
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty wild, man, and just the plays too on Spotify and stuff is
Yeah.
just it's wacky. That is a it's interesting because the story of that song is quite unique in that we were done making that record. That Hangover You Don't Deserve was done. Almost was going to be the single. I think Trucker Hat was supposed to be second, and get a call from Butch Walker's manager, and he's like, "Hey, this guy Mitch Allen." I'm like, "I know Mitch, SR-71." He goes, "Man, he's got this song. I think you should hear it because, it's a Bowling for Soup song, And yeah, and so 1985 came across, and I was like, meh, and my drummer Gary was just like, "That's pretty good. You should listen to it again, And but so SR-71 had already put it out in Japan, but there's no digital at the time, right? And
Right.
so it was never going to make it to these shores. And listening to it, I was just like, it's I don't want Debbie to be like the target. I think it should be more fun. Like it's more of just like oh mom, like I don't want, and so lyrically theirs was pretty pointy,
Mhm.
and so I spoke to Mitch and I said, "Hey man, I'd really like to do something with it, but are you cool if I do a rewrite?" And he was like, "Man, just do with it whatever you want." And yeah, I changed a few things here and I changed a few things there, and then Butch listened to it with me and had a little input here, and we recorded it, and man, it just took off like wildfire, and that song just it resonates with people still to this day, and that everybody nobody's kids think they're cool. I'm a
Yeah.
rock star and my kids don't think I'm cool.
Yeah. Man, I am right against the clock, and I know you've got other things going on, but I just wanted to ask you about two things real quick, and I'll
Yeah, go
let you
ahead,
go.
man.
And hopefully
Yeah,
we can get together again because I didn't even get to a quarter of my notes.
yeah,
But you've done some solo stuff that I really
yeah.
appreciate.
Thanks,
And
man.
I was listening to a song last night called "There Is You,"
Yeah,
and it's a
yeah,
ballad, and it's unexpected, and it's so beautiful. And
yeah.
I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's a different side, kind of unexpected that I don't know that a lot of people are aware of.
Yeah, I started to experience issues with my mental health around that time in 2013, actually, when you and I were talking about earlier, when the band is again another part of what was going on in life. Anxiety and depression, excuse me, entered my life, and it was something that I held pretty close to the vest for a long time. In fact, too long, because my friends didn't know what was going on with me and just kind of thought I was pushing everybody away, and that ended up being its own thing. Um, so I shared my story for the first time through a friend's website. It was called Louder Than Stigma, and that has escalated into its own uh, full fledged charity here in Dallas called Amplified Minds. And but I shared my story for the first time, and just the response that I got uh, each time I would talk about it, people would just be like, "Oh man, dude, like, thank you for speaking out. I'm gonna go make an appointment with my doctor. Or I'm gonna talk to my family, or yada yada." And so, mental health has always been a big thing for me. And but honestly, man, I gotta hand it to my buddy Zach Malloy. Excuse me, my buddy Zach Malloy, who produced and co-wrote my country record.
Mhm.
He actually hit me up and he goes, "You know what you've never done? Just a song with you and piano." Like, he goes, "I don't think people really know your voice, and like how flexible and how cool it would sound over that." And I was
Yeah.
just like, "Yeah, I mean, that could be cool." And I was just like, I guess it would need to be about something. And yeah, I just I wrote down the words to the chorus and sent it back to him, and we wrote that song. And you know, um, I re-release it, or at least start really pushing it every May during Mental Health Awareness Month,
Mm.
because the message is that there's hope, there's love, and thank God there's you. We're all important, and I think that gets lost a lot.
I know exactly how you feel. And you are not alone. It bears repeating. You are not alone. Keep holding on. Your heart's still beating. You're gonna make it through. There is hope. There is love. And thank God there is you.
You know, I think people, you know, I think it's real easy to get caught up in your own shit, but what you don't really think about is the impact that you have on people just by being here.
Yeah.
And so that's really what the song is about, is like, hey, you know, I mean, you know, there's hard times, you know, and there's things, but you can make other decisions other than just, you know, than giving up.
Yeah.
And that's what the song's about.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Speaking of your country album, there's a song that you do called "Way More Country," which with
Yeah.
Uncle Cracker, which I love. Do you
Yeah.
have 112 tattoos?
I got more than that. Yeah, I'm covered.
I sing in a punk rock band, and I know every word to that Eminem song stand. And I've got about 110 tattoos, but I'm way more country than you. You didn't grow up in a small town. You don't drive a truck. And if you do, it's probably a Tesla. You don't drink Miller Lite. Begged you for a champagne guy. Bet you can't name one 80s wrestler. And I sing in a punk rock band. And one time in Las Vegas, Garth Brooks said he was a fan. And I've got about 112 tattoos, but I'm way more country than you.
Yeah, I think it gets up to 117 in the song, but yeah, I got a lot now. But yeah, I think there comes a point where you just lose touch with it, you know, and you're just covered. And somebody said that to me recently, actually, where they were just like, "You're covered," and I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm pretty covered."
Yeah. Man, I know I'm against the clock, and I promised I would keep you on time, so I'm gonna let you go. But boy, I love talking to you. I could talk to you all day long, and
Man.
again, we only got through about half of what I want to go through. So I'm hoping we can have a follow up sometime. Maybe we'll get to shake hands here when you're in my hometown in August, and I'd love to see you.
Man, I really love this, man. I would love that. I'll give you an hour next time, and you know, and we'll do it. I really enjoyed this, brother.
Yeah, no, I love talking to you. I can't wait to see the show in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Take care. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you, Steve.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Sounds good, brother.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
For questions or comments, email Steve at steveryan.songoftheday@gmail.com.